Hi everyone and welcome to Bonnie Astrology. Today I'm going to be discussing the full moon in Taurus conjunct Uranus. It's happening on the 15th of November 2024 and of course what it means for your zodiac sign. This one is full of shocks and surprises. As always, if you do enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up to let me know that you like it. Subscribe to the channel for regular astrology content from me, and if you want to book a reading with me and see what 2025 has in store for you, the information listed in the description is the only place you can get me. I do have a website now to book readings directly. So let's look at this full moon in Taurus in a very squeaky jacket. As I said, this is happening on the 15th of November, and you can feel the effects of a full moon in the week before and the week after, the run up and the come down of a full moon. So this one is happening 15th of November and it's happening at 24 degrees of Taurus. So have a little look at your chart and see where 24 degrees of Taurus is in your chart. I will be going into that in the horoscope section, but for now I'm going to go into what it means for us collectively. If you do want to skip ahead, feel free to do so. I suggest that you check out your rising sign for the most accurate astrology horoscope. So 24 degrees of Taurus, if you have any personal placements at 24 degrees of Taurus, 23, 24, 25 are the closest in getting an effect from this full moon, or 23 to 25 of Scorpio, Aquarius, or Leo. You may find that this full moon is impacting you directly and may feel more emotionally charged. And because you have placements at those transits or angles, you may already be noticing Uranus, the energy of Uranus, which can bring shocks, surprises. It can also bring awakening. It can sometimes also, if it's a hard aspect, bring a bit of anxiety, a bit of restlessness, a need for change, a need for liberation, and a need for freedom. These can be things that you're feeling within, but they can also be things manifesting around you if perhaps you are in an energy of resistance to change that could be necessary for your evolution. So if you have any placements there, just know that this full moon is possibly heightening the energies around that, especially if you have a storyline that has been going on this year with Uranus. As I say, this full moon is conjunct Uranus, and anytime we have a full moon that's conjunct Uranus, it tends to bring an element of surprise. It is a wild card energy and it can be quite shaky and unpredictable. There's a reason I always think that Uranus is associated with astrology, because it's actually notoriously hard to predict. And astrology can give you a prediction of sorts, but with Uranus being in the mix, it feels that little bit more harder to pin down. And the energy surrounding Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius in modern astrology, is that the energy is quite hard to pin down. And in the sign of Taurus, bear in mind the moon is exalted in Taurus. It loves being in Taurus. It loves what is familiar, what is comfortable, what is comforting, whether that be food, cushions, cushy pillows, your home, whether that be the job that you've been in for a very long time, the relationship you've been in for a very long time. Moon in Taurus tends to enjoy familiarity and what is comfortable for them. Uranus, not so much. Uranus likes to come along and shake you out of your comfort zone. So it can be quite surprising. As I say, particularly if you are resisting something that maybe you know needs to change, but it's familiar and there's a fear of the unknown. There's a fear of what could be, particularly as within the week of this full moon, Pluto is going into Aquarius, a sign of the future. So there can be a bit of fear surrounding the future. Where Pluto goes, fear follows, and Aquarius is associated with the future. So with this full moon, maybe there are changes that are unexpected, that are a little bit unusual, and you're feeling a little bit fearful or anxious about what the future may have in store. That would be a perfectly natural manifestation of this full moon. So just know that if you are feeling that way, you're not alone. But it can bring shocks and surprises that are positive after all. Uranus is a neutral energy. It can be quite chaotic, but it can bring an energy of awakening where perhaps there's not a change that you're initiating per se under this full moon, or a change that's happening to you, but you could be gaining an awareness of what you would like to change with something that has been quite familiar, something that you've known for a long time, or something that you've been around for a long time or doing for a long time. With this being in the sign of Taurus, there is a focus on pleasure. So the things that you enjoy may also change. The things that you enjoy spending money on, the things that you enjoy eating, the things that you enjoy, the music that you like, these things can change in unpredictable and kind of chaotic ways. You may suddenly go off food, you may suddenly go off a band, or you may suddenly find yourself listening to a new genre of music or art that perhaps you didn't enjoy before, or you may find yourself changing up your decor, your aesthetics and your clothes a little bit with this full moon. Maybe trying something a little bit out of the box, a little bit wilder than usual. As I say, Taurus doesn't like change. Full moon can bring closure and release though. So something may unexpectedly come to an end. It is interesting though with Uranus being at this degree. Uranus has been at this degree before this year, so this would be a storyline that is likely already playing out where the change is occurring, something that you're already aware of, and you may be feeling quite reflective under this full moon of what you could do. Perhaps on an emotional level, how you could maybe change the way you're looking at something that has reached its expiry date or something that needs a revamp under this full moon. You may not necessarily want or have wanted the change, but under this full moon you may be a little bit more open-minded to what you could change or what you could do or how you could be an active participant in what is happening maybe to you, what you feel is out of control. It can bring closure, it can bring release, it is a full moon after all, and it could perhaps bring a desire for pastures new. Taurus is a sign of the bull, and maybe the grass is greener on the other side of what it is that you've had to change or the change that is happening to you in your life. Maybe there is something that you thought you didn't want to end, but now that it has ended, it's putting you into a position for something maybe that suits you better, something that feels more authentic to who you are. With this being in an earth sign, do focus on grounding, try and be out in nature as much as possible. Weather permitting, obviously, it may be a good time to sit out in the grass, to sit under a tree, to just feel present in the moment and maybe get off the online spaces a little bit. Uranus energy can be quite nervous, it can be quite wiry. So in the sign of Taurus, it's good to make sure that you are touching grass, so to speak. I think it's funny that that's become a catchphrase while Uranus is in Taurus, to touch grass, to stay more grounded. That it can bring awakening and it can bring a need to look at things from a different perspective. It's very hard with this particular energy to put the genie back in the bottle once that it is out. So perhaps try and remain a bit open to the changes that are happening to you, around you, or that you are hoping to make under this full moon. The ruler of this full moon is Venus in Capricorn. Now, Venus in Capricorn brings an energy of stability when it comes to committing, when it comes to a mature approach. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and also under this full moon, Saturn is going direct. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But with Venus being in Capricorn, being the ruler of this full moon, this may center around themes of government. Obviously, at the time of this full moon, Pluto is still at the final degree of Capricorn, so there is a wrapping up, there is closure when it comes to governments, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to large institutions and hierarchies. So it may be that there are surprising changes surrounding those themes around the time of this full moon, with the ruler Venus being in Capricorn. It is worth mentioning, I won't talk about it too much, but this full moon is conjunct the Jupiter, which rules the 10th house in Vice President Kamala Harris's chart, and it also is conjunct the midheaven of President-elect Donald Trump. So this full moon can bring a little bit of a shake-up and a surprise when it comes to what's perhaps happening in their lives or what's happening surrounding the election, particularly with Venus being in Capricorn, the sign of governments and governmental leaders. So that can be something that comes up under this full moon as well. There can be shocks and surprises going on there, if there are not already by the time this goes up. So Saturn is going direct under this full moon as well. Saturn has been retrograde since June, and oftentimes when Saturn is retrograde, we feel more reflective about what is not working. Saturn is associated with hard work. We are reflective about what is not working in our life, the work that we are doing, the leadership that we have as well with Saturn, the bosses that we have. We may be reviewing these different types of themes and what is or is not working when it comes to our work responsibilities and of course our boundaries, particularly in areas of work. But with Saturn being in Pisces, our spiritual boundaries, where we're giving away our energy to other people simply by our imagination, what we're thinking about even when they're not there. Or the things that are draining our energy that we're not, experiencing in the moment, but where our mind is going, where our dreams are going. This may be a time where we've reflected on where our energy is escaping us. But I think for a lot of people, it can be to do with work. Now, Saturn going direct is really quite a relief, because when Saturn is retrograde in Pisces, I mentioned this in the November video, but I saw an article by Elsa. She's an astrologer that I follow on X, and she was mentioning that with Pisces being a very, it's a sign of illusions, with Saturn retrograde in that sign, we can feel like nothing is moving. We can feel like nothing is changing, and we can feel like our hard work is not paying off at all, no matter where we're putting it, and it can be incredibly frustrating. Saturn direct brings the rewards, and while these may not necessarily manifest under this full moon, Saturn going direct means that it is more likely that you will see the benefit of your hard work, your reward, and your responsibility. And it may be easier under this transit to make commitments based on the review that we have been doing. and it can bring reward and accomplishment for a job well done. And that goes for spiritual work as well, where you've been healing, where you've been letting go, and you've been working on something behind the scenes. So as always, I'm going to pull a tarot card for this full moon in Taurus. It is a wild card, it is a surprising one, so anything can happen and probably will under this full moon, but it can absolutely be quite lively and exciting. So expect the unexpected. Things may happen that you didn't see coming. But just know with the planet Uranus, a lot of the time it is for the purpose of awakening. It is for the purpose of bringing your attention to something that was already cosmically changing or was already changing in your life. So let's get a card for this full moon in Taurus. The King of Swords. Interesting. So this is oftentimes representative of Aquarius, Libra, Gemini energy or people. I think with this King of Swords, it is the energy of Saturn, because Saturn, if you can't see it, is up in the corner there with the ring. Saturn is going direct under this full moon, and we may feel a little bit more focused on being rational, on being decisive, on focusing on facts, on focusing on communication with this particular energy of the King of Swords. It can definitely bring our attention to government, to police, to people in positions of power and authority under this full moon with the King of Swords. And interestingly enough, strength is underneath. So there does seem to be something to be said about leadership under this one in particular, because the strength card would be Leo, which is the monarchy and leaders and people in positions of power, or even people in positions of entertainment, celebrity and the like. But I think with the King of Swords being a tarot card associated with the air signs, Aquarius, Pluto's moving into Aquarius, this is putting the focus back on our intellect and our rational minds when it comes to whatever is occurring around the time of this full moon. So maybe in your own life you're feeling that you need to go with your head rather than your heart under this full moon in particular. Maybe you're coming into information in your own life that is making you see things from a different perspective that perhaps you didn't before with this King of Swords. And this can also mean that people who have a King of Swords energy are more prominent under this time. As I say, Libra, Aquarius and Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising people may be more prominent under this full moon. I want to say maybe Aquarius for the most part, with Pluto moving into Aquarius and this being conjunct Uranus. There does seem to be key people coming into the spotlight around the time of this full moon. I'm going to pull one more, just for clarity's sake. Ace of Swords, yeah, it's very clear, it's very decisive. There's a lot of truth coming out under this full moon. The Ace of Swords is about truth, honesty, decisiveness, logic, getting to the heart of the matter, cutting to the heart of the matter. The pen is mightier than the sword. So it does look like there are some truths coming out under this full moon that are very decisive and maybe very sudden and maybe they help in the process of awakening to what is. They help bring the truth to the table, so to speak. It's an interesting one. So I'm going to get into what the full moon means for each of the individual zodiac signs. Of course, timestamps are listed below. You can listen to your sun as well as your rising, and you can listen to your moon if you wish. You have free will. But do click on your rising first, I would say. And if you don't know your rising, of course, click on your sun or your moon as well. That is what I have for this full moon, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Aries, welcome to the full moon in Taurus for your sign. I hope you're doing really well. So Aries, this full moon conjunct Uranus is happening in your financial sector. So there's a few different ways this could play out for you. For one thing, you could unexpectedly or surprisingly come into some money, or your financial situation may change. You may have an unexpected or surprising expense or bill that you need to pay. It can also be a case that you have a bit of a genius idea. Or an inventive idea on how to maybe monetize your talents to make more money, or how you can use your talents to make money in the future. With the ruler of this full moon, Venus, being in your 10th house of career, you're being very well received at work. So it could be that someone points out that you have a talent for something and that they know someone who turned that into a business. Or it could be that perhaps because you're so well received at work, you're now up for a promotion or a pay raise, or something of that nature that is changing your financial situation. The second house is also the house of gifts. So you may unexpectedly receive a gift from someone else. Someone may give you a present. It could be somebody that you work with, someone in the workplace, or it could be your father, with Venus being in Capricorn at this particular time. But it's interesting too for you, Aries, because Venus is in your 10th house, and under this full moon, your 10th house ruler is turning direct in the 12th. You're going to start to notice yourself gain more recognition over time as Saturn goes direct. You'll notice that you get more recognition for the hard work that you've been doing behind the scenes, maybe you've been doing secretly. Maybe this is something that you've been working on privately, or it's just all that overtime, or time spent fixing things, working on things, or maybe even you could start to see some positive repercussions coming from the inner work that you've been doing, the inner healing that you've been doing as well, Aries, with Saturn being retrograde in your 12th house. Maybe you've been feeling a bit more introverted, maybe you've been taking some time to retreat and heal, and with Saturn going direct, maybe you're feeling a little bit more prepared to accept help from other people that want to help you in your time of need, with Saturn being in the 12th. Maybe you're feeling like you need to get out of your shell a little bit. Maybe you're feeling as though you need to be more present at work, with Venus being in the 10th, and that might be a place that you're really enjoying at this point if you still work, or if it's not work, it's been seen out and about publicly, it's being out in the public domain. But certainly it feels, with your 10th house ruler going direct, the ruler of this full moon being in your 10th house, for a lot of you, you could possibly be getting some sort of reward or benefit for the hard work that you have been doing in your career, maybe behind the scenes or silently, Aries. Your tarot card is the Six of Cups. This is interesting. It could be that somebody from your past is returning, or you're reconnecting to someone from your past. Saturn in the 12th as a transit, it is actually associated with soulmates. So for some of you, this could be meeting a soulmate. For some of you, it could be reconnecting with a soulmate. It doesn't have to be romantic necessarily. It could be someone you used to work with. It could be someone that you're very close to, that you live at a distance with, reconnecting with family or something of that nature, Aries. But with the Six of Cups, it feels like there is a sense of deja vu. It's worth noting that Mercury is in shadow at the time of this full moon, so perhaps you are hearing from someone from the past, or you're reaching out to someone from the past as well. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Taurus, welcome to the full moon in your sign conjunct Uranus. You're the star of the show, Taurus. This full moon happening in your first house. Firstly, full moons in the first, they can be notoriously emotional. And with Uranus in the mix, this could be a little bit up and down. It could be a bit surprising. Your emotions or your feelings could take you by surprise, whether they are happy, sad, angry, fearful, excited. But because of the conjunction to Uranus, Taurus, they may result in maybe an emotional liberation, maybe getting rid of some stuff that you've had in your chest for a while. Could also be that they're awakening you to new ways of being and new ways of approaching life with this full moon conjunct Uranus in your first house. The thing about Uranus transiting the first house is that it usually brings quite a lot of chaos, but it can also bring freedom, liberation, and living life in a way that you never expected or anticipated. And it can surprise you, it can surprise people around you, and you can absolutely surprise yourself. So with this full moon, you may be the one that is surprising others, or even surprising yourself in the way that you show up to the world, the way you style yourself, the way that you dress. You may just want to do something different or out of character. Now, Venus, your ruler, is in the 9th house at the time of this full moon. Pluto is also in your 9th house at the crisis degree for a few more days after this full moon. And so when it comes to how you're approaching life, some of you might want to be learning or teaching. You might want to teach others what you know. You might be wanting to put yourself out there as a teacher. You might be wanting to publish your work. With the 9th house, it's publishing. You might be wanting to put your thoughts and your art out to the world. It can also be that you're really wanting to travel, or you're wanting to explore at the time of this full moon. Maybe some of you are thinking of going back to university, back to college, taking a gap year. Maybe some of you are taking a solo trip unexpectedly. Taurus, you just think, well, do you know what? Why not? I'm going to do it. With this full moon ruled by Venus in your 9th house. And if you do travel, Venus in the 9th house often brings positive experiences when it comes to interacting with people in different countries, when it comes to learning more about different cultures in different countries, and really feeling a sense of love and joy wherever it is that you go. Similarly, if you're showing up to something at university or college, or a course that you really want to take, You may find that it's easier to make friends. You may find that you're well received by your lecturer, your fellow students, or maybe even, as I said with the ninth house, a publisher or someone who can help support your work or act as a mentor to you in some capacity, Taurus. I also want to mention before I pull you a tarot card that Saturn is going direct in your 11th house. And this is a time where maybe perhaps you are rethinking, with Saturn having been retrograde, you've been reflecting and rethinking your aspirations for the future, your wishes. And maybe now you're willing and ready to put a long-term plan in place when it comes to creating the future that you want to create for yourself, Taurus. Let's see what we've got for you. We have the Hermit card. So the Hermit is about looking inward for answers and doing a bit of soul searching. I think you might surprise yourself at the time of this full moon with what it is that you find comes out emotionally. I think you might surprise yourself with your thoughts, your beliefs, your philosophies, Venus being in the ninth house, exploring your philosophies and what it is that you believe, Pluto at the crisis degree, having changes in what you believe or how you view the world, or your spiritual relationship with self, with the Hermit. So some of you might be wanting to really look inward and explore your own mind and your own soul at the time of this full moon. And as I say, what you find may surprise you. That's what I have for you, Taurus, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Gemini, welcome to the full moon in Taurus for your sign. Gemini, this full moon is conjunct Uranus. It's happening in your 12th house, which is quite a sleepy house. It's quite behind the scenes. It's where topics about mental health come up, the subconscious mind, healing. It's also quite a spiritual house, and it's to do with our sleep. So in a few different ways, Gemini, I think for some of you, you could be experiencing a bit of unusual energy when it comes to your sleeping patterns. You might find that maybe, you're wide awake at night and then you're really tired during the day, or you might find that your mind is more active and you're having trouble getting to sleep. You may find that you're having very disruptive dreams with a full moon conjunct Uranus in the 12th house. But insights into your subconscious, so whether that's with a therapist or it's from a dream or it's from an emotional catharsis, perhaps it's a case where it actually helps liberate you from some stuff that you didn't realize you were carrying. Sometimes we have so much embedded in our subconscious that we don't realize what it is until a 12th house transit comes along and sort of unearths it all. So you might be dealing with some past emotions that come up at this time rather unexpectedly, and they help liberate you from some stuff you didn't even know was down there. It can also be a case that under this full moon, that if you have a hidden enemy that you didn't expect, they're exposed. It all comes out into the open. That hidden enemy doesn't have to be a person, though. It can be a self-sabotaging behavior or coping mechanism that you're ready to let go of. You could be wrapping up some sort of chapter when it comes to some work that you've been doing behind the scenes, when it comes to healing, when it comes to any, spiritual or healing work that you've been doing for yourself. You might be having awakenings, liberation, and you might be, I think for a lot of you, it could be that emotional freedom technique, tapping. That could be something that comes up for you at this time, or you could be working through, because Uranus is to do with freedom. And the 12th house is our subconscious, so emotional freedom technique could be something that maybe you're working on. I also think for some of you, with the sun being in your 6th house, you're wrapping up something work related in general. But for a lot of you, I think under this full moon, there could be an unexpected or surprising focus, or even a realization when it comes to mental health and spiritual well-being, Gemini. It's also worth noting that Pluto is still at the final degree in your 8th house, and Venus, the ruler of this full moon, is in your 8th house. So you can really benefit from other people's resources. Other people want to help you, whether that be financially or whether that be that they want to help you and support you with the talents and the skills and the resources that they have. You might find that someone has actually been unexpectedly helping you or supporting you at this time, with Venus being in the 8th house. Or you may be finding, I think with Pluto at the 29th degree of your 8th house, you could be having some sort of psychological breakthrough or mental health breakthrough at this time, Gemini. Saturn is going to be stationing direct in your 10th house, which means that after a period of reflection and a lot of hard work, professionally, you may start to see some sort of reward for the work and the dedication and the commitment that you have been showing when it comes to a boss or when it comes to a company or your career. The hard work will start to pay off, and it won't look as though nothing is moving, and it won't be as easy to stay confused when it comes to what's going on work-wise. You'll start to see the progress and the reward for a job well done, Gemini. Yeah, your tarot card is the Knight of Pentacles. Slowly but surely getting ahead. I think for a lot of you, there could be some positive news work-wise, or you could be completing some sort of work task or a project that you've been doing within work, or wrapping up some sort of professional chapter, perhaps with Saturn being there in your 10th house. But it looks as though slow and steady will win the race, Gemini. There's no doubt about that. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Cancer, welcome to the full moon in Taurus for your sign. So Cancer, this full moon is actually happening in a very social part of your chart. So you may have unexpected invitations to go out. It could be quite a busy time socially, or you could have a last minute event to go to with Uranus. Uranus in the mix tends to bring the element of surprise. So there might be a surprising social engagement comes up and you have to get ready last minute, or something like that, Cancer. It could be because your partner wants to go, your partner has suddenly got tickets to something and you have to get ready last minute to go. Your partner may also surprise you with a party. A party. As I mentioned in the intro, Saturn squaring my Mercury, I feel like I can't talk. A party. They might surprise you with a party, Cancer, or it might be that they surprise you with a social engagement or something of that nature, because the full moon's happening in your 11th house, which is to do with social engagements, social events, spending time with friends, spending time with groups of people. Unexpectedly with Uranus, it can be very eclectic people, unusual people, people who are a bit different to the norm, whatever that looks like in your life, because every life is different. Spending time with people who may be a bit more free, a bit more out there, maybe quite Aquarian in nature, a bit quirky. It can also be that you are getting a surprise from a friend. A friend really surprises you, maybe with something that they tell you or something that they know. It could be a surprise, it could be a shock. But I feel with Venus being in the 7th house for you, Cancer, that potentially it could be that maybe a friend unexpectedly sets you up with someone if you're single, or maybe you unexpectedly develop feelings for a friend, or they tell you they unexpectedly, or it's unexpected to you that they have feelings for you. Or it could be, as I said, that your partner surprises you with a social event, or there's something surprising coming up with their friends. But it feels for a lot of you, Cancer, that it could be a very surprising event that you're attending or going to. Something about it is a little bit different. It could also be that perhaps there's something surprising connected to your partnerships and your relationships of all kinds at this time, Cancer. But it could be quite a social weekend for you. You could be unexpectedly invited somewhere, maybe, as I say, by a partner or by a best friend or business partnership. It could also be that you make unexpected plans for the future, or your plans for the future suddenly change. Maybe you and your partner are having a conversation about the future and it doesn't look the same anymore. Maybe you want to try something different, or you want to go in a different direction, Cancer. Now Saturn is also going direct under this full moon, and for a lot of you that may be a case where, with Saturn in your 9th house, after a time of reflection, you may decide that you want to commit to a course of study, to studying something new, to learning something more thoroughly, looking into it deeper. It may be a time where you want to get a certification or some sort of qualification, or you want to put your hard work into those things, or you are already, and this is a continuation of that. But this is where you're really starting to graft after a period of reflection. And it could also be a case that maybe if it's nothing to do with study, or you're not taking maybe your beliefs or your religion more seriously, it could be a case that you're wanting to commit to traveling more, exploring more, or maybe traveling more frequently in your day-to-day life, Cancer. Let's have a little look and get you a tarot card. We have Judgment. I think someone is spilling the tea with you. I feel like someone's going to tell you something that you didn't know. I think it could be a friend, or it could be, unexpected developments in a team, in a group that you're a part of. It feels as though something may come out, something might be said, some information may come your way through a group of people, or it may be as well that you are unexpectedly receiving a manifestation out of the blue as well, Cancer, with this full moon being in the 11th house. That is what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Leo, welcome to the full moon in Taurus for your sign. So Leo, this full moon is happening at the top of your chart in your 10th house. This is where your career is, your public image, your professional titles, your public life, your visibility, etc. So there may be a surprise there. You may have something that you're doing career-wise or professionally that is a surprise or a shock to other people. There could be some surprising news coming to you about your career. You may have some sort of shock realization about your career as well. Or if there is someone in a position of authority over you, your boss, your CEO, there may be a surprising change happening there. They may do something that surprises you, or they may make a change that surprises you. But for a lot of you, I think you're looking for more freedom in your work, maybe more free time, more free space to be yourself or do things that you enjoy. So for a lot of you, you might be making changes to your career or your working habits to accommodate more space and freedom for yourself. Now, at the time of this full moon, Venus will be in your 6th house. Venus is the ruler of this full moon. This is very positive for working relationships. You could be having good times with co-workers, employees, although I will mention Pluto is at the crisis degree of this sign too, so you could be making some changes, even more so when it comes to your working arrangements. Your working schedule could be changing quite dramatically. You could be cutting back, maybe for health matters for a lot of you. Focusing on your well-being and health, because with Pluto at the crisis degree of your 6th house, some of you may be having some health troubles at the moment, and you may be needing to focus on looking after your health and taking better care. And with Venus being there, that's a positive omen where you can maybe find more support when it comes to your health and well-being, or find things that make you feel better. But essentially, this really looks like a working change for a lot of Leo risings. I think Saturn is also going to station direct at the time of this full moon in your 8th house, which means that if you've been reflecting and thinking about, joint financial relationships, debts, money you owe other people, other people's money, your partner's money, maybe you've been rethinking these different types of issues or reflecting on these different types of issues, you may have come up with some workable solutions to problems there, or perhaps you are finding that you're committing to a payment plan to repay debt or money that you owe, or perhaps some of you are going to be making some significant financial commitments with a partner, or get a loan or a mortgage or something like that, where you're making a more substantial commitment financially, Leo. Let's get you a tarot card. Yep, we have the 8 of Pentacles. So I feel like for a lot of you, this full moon centers around work. It surrounds the work that you're doing, your working habits, the way that you are looking after yourself, taking care of yourself, and where you feel like you are or are not making progress, and where you could make some changes in order to support your working journey, Leo. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Virgo, welcome to the full moon in Taurus horoscope for your sign. So Virgo, this full moon is happening in your 9th house, meaning that with the conjunction to Uranus, there could be an unexpected trip coming up. There could be an unexpected travel opportunity, or there could be some significant changes to travel arrangements or taking a trip for a lot of Virgo risings. This can also be a case where maybe for some of you there are some shakeups and surprises when it comes to your education. If you're at university or you're at college, there could be a surprise test, there could be a surprise exam, your exam results may surprise you. Sometimes Uranus accelerates things, so maybe for some of you, you could have to make a decision very quickly on the spot about your university or college arrangements, about your education. It might be that you're fast tracking to graduate, for example, but essentially there could be a lot of surprises coming up when it comes to either travel arrangements or your higher education, your higher study. It can also be that you have a sudden spiritual awakening if you've not had one yet. You could have a complete epiphany in terms of your worldview and your perspectives, Virgo. You might completely shift your belief system, or you might suddenly decide that you believe something that you've never believed in before, or it could be quite unexpected and surprising for a lot of you with Uranus being in the mix. But for a lot of you, it does look like travel, or changes when it comes to getting an opportunity to take an adventure or some sort of trip for a lot of you, or changing travel arrangements. Now, the ruler of this full moon is Venus in the 5th house. So some of you may be traveling for love. Maybe some of you are just traveling for pleasure. Maybe some of you just need a vacation, just need some time off, and it's a last minute affair. But I think for a lot of you, what you're really looking for is more fun. I think you want to change your philosophy. It's kind of giving me the song Hakuna Matata in The Lion King, where they say it's a problem-free philosophy. Maybe you're thinking, I actually need to have more fun and I need to enjoy myself a little bit more, with Venus being in the 5th and Pluto being at the crisis degree in your 5th. It's sort of now or never. What makes you happy? What do you want to do? What would bring you joy? Saturn is going direct in your partnership sector, so if there's been back and forth about whether this relationship is working or not, whether you want to commit, or maybe for some of you it's finalizing plans for a wedding, maybe moving in with a partner, or reconsidering what you want in relationships, Saturn going direct means that you have more clarity on what you can or can't commit to when it comes to partnerships and relationships, Virgo. Let's get you a card for this full moon. We have Justice. I think for a lot of you, you could be getting married, or you could be making substantial commitments to a partnership. It could be a business partnership, bear in mind, with Saturn in the 7th. But I think for a lot of you, you're looking for more balance and fairness when it comes to your arrangements, in terms of partnerships and relationships. It can also be with the 9th house. Maybe some of you are unexpectedly getting approved for a visa, or having to renew your passport last minute with Uranus, or you're having to get some sort of travel documentation ready to travel, maybe at the last minute, or maybe you're just getting something approved unexpectedly under this full moon, Virgo. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Libra, welcome to the full moon in Taurus for your sign. So Libra, this full moon is happening in your 8th house. So the 8th house is associated with what we inherit. So that can be emotionally, psychologically. It can also be financially. It's where we benefit from other people financially. So our partner's money, mortgages, loans, joint financial relationships. And it can also be intimate relationships. There could be something surprising for you that comes up under this full moon from maybe a spouse or a partner. It could be for some of you as well, from a psychological standpoint, that maybe you have been experiencing a lot of fear. Maybe you've been experiencing a bit of darkness at this time. But it can be with Uranus that you get an awakening, you get an epiphany, and you maybe feel a little bit liberated from something that has been quite psychologically distressing at the time of this full moon. But it can be that something surprising comes up with your partner's money, with a loan, with a mortgage, with a joint financial relationship, or from a partnership in general. It does seem with this full moon that it is expect the unexpected. But with the ruler of this full moon being Venus in your 4th house, this seems to pertain to living arrangements, to property, and to family. So it may be that there's been some sort of psychological crisis when it pertains to your family or your home life. Pluto is at the crisis degree of your living sector at the moment until November 19th. So there may be some intense changes when it comes to a living arrangement, when it comes to home, when it comes to family. Maybe some of you have been experiencing a family crisis. And I feel under this full moon that there may be some sort of epiphany or some sort of awakening or sudden change when it comes to a financial situation, a joint financial situation. So maybe some of you are selling a home and you're finding that the evaluation that you're getting is a bit surprising. Or maybe some of you are surprisingly moving, or maybe some of you are finding that you've been experiencing a family crisis and this full moon says, oh, this is what you need to do. With Uranus, sometimes it helps to take a bit of space from the situation and give yourself a little bit of freedom to look at whatever is happening for you objectively. The 8th house can be a house of crisis, which is why I'm mentioning that it can be quite emotionally intense for you, but it can also help you get some intense emotions off your chest, Libra. Saturn is going direct in your 6th house of work and your health. So for some of you, maybe you've been reflecting on how you're taking care of yourself physically, your well-being, and you're maybe ready to commit to a different way of living, a different lifestyle. For some of you, you've had additional responsibility at work, and perhaps you're realizing that you can't keep doing things the way that you've been doing. For some of you, it may have been job loss or being out of work. And with Saturn direct, you may now find that you can find more suitable jobs if you're looking for them, or create more suitable jobs or roles for yourself. It feels as though you're maybe feeling more dedicated and open to responsibility for a new role if you're looking for one, Libra. Let's get you a tarot card. Yep, 4 of Wands. There definitely seems to be something going on for a lot of you with home and family arrangements. With Pluto being at the crisis degrees, maybe you're moving, maybe there's a surprise change in the occupants, maybe you have family matters come to a head under this full moon, maybe it's about a mortgage or a loan or something of that nature, Libra. That is what I have for you, and I will talk to you soon. Hi Scorpio, welcome to the full moon in Taurus for your sign. So Scorpio, this full moon in Taurus conjunct Uranus is happening in your relationship and partnership sector. So there may be a surprise coming from your partner, something unexpected. This could range anywhere from them surprising you with a trip, Venus in the 3rd, to them having some surprising news for you or shocking news for you. It could be that perhaps your partner has some surprising information that they want to share with you. It could also be that perhaps you and your partner are having a conversation that changes the dynamic of the relationship. And if it's not a romantic partnership, it could be any close relationship in your life, maybe a business partnership, maybe a best friend, one-on-one personal relationship in your life. There could be some unexpected news coming from them. They could be telling you something that you didn't see coming, or they could be getting some news at this time that is quite surprising or maybe shocking in nature. But it seems to come with the context of one-on-one relationships. So there could be something surprising that you're learning about another person or experiencing with another person. It could also be with a full moon conjunct Uranus that a relationship in your life comes to an end. This could be something that feels quite surprising or out of the blue, but obviously that's only for a select few of you. It could also be that with this full moon, perhaps you want a little bit more freedom in your relationship or within your relationships. Maybe you're looking for a relationship where you have a little bit more space or a little bit more freedom. You could also, if you're single, unexpectedly meet somebody, and it could be through a neighbor, it could be through your local community, it could be through a friend or a sibling or something of that nature. You could unexpectedly meet somebody at this time as well. And it could take off with a full moon conjunct Uranus in your 7th house, and it could be quite out of the blue. Now Saturn is going direct in your 5th house, so if you have been reconsidering and rethinking your commitments, maybe to your art, to your creativity, to what you love, this may be a time when you're ready to commit to a creative project or commit more to your what makes you happy, Scorpio. Can also be for some of you if you're expecting children or you've just become a parent. This could be a time when you get very clear after some reflection on your parenting style as well and how you want to look after your children. Or, if you're committing to building the crib or building the nursery or something like that for some of you. But I do think for a lot of you as well, it could be that if you've been experiencing maybe some gambling or entertainment addictions with Saturn going direct, you could be deciding you want to commit to overcoming them. Just noticing with the 5th house, a lot of the time it's to do with, the lottery and entertainment and gambling and things like that. And with Saturn, it's very serious. So it could be that you're getting more serious about making sure that what you're doing is good for your life, if it's maybe taken control a little bit. Again, that's only for a select few of you, but I do think with this full moon, Scorpio, expect the unexpected when it comes to your partnerships and your relationships, because someone might surprise you at this time. Let's get you a tarot card. We have the Hermit. So some of you may actually decide, I think, to end a relationship and go it alone. Some of you are maybe a bit tired of a certain dynamic, or you feel like you're not getting your freedom. With the Hermit, oftentimes it can be choosing to go inward and be by yourself. Or maybe there's something, maybe your partner's going on an unexpected trip and you're getting some time alone and you're using it to rest. Or maybe for some of you, the surprise is coming from a Virgo sun, moon, or rising. But I think for a lot of you, Scorpio, you're really looking inward for what it is that you need and what it is that you want within your relationships. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Sagittarius, welcome to the full moon in Taurus conjunct Uranus for your sign. So Sagittarius, this full moon is happening in your 6th house. Now, the 6th house is the house of work, but it's also the house of health. So for a lot of you, maybe you're making some changes when it comes to your daily routines, the way that you work, the services that you provide, how you do your work. There could be some overall changes or disruptions in your everyday activities, be that your commute, be that your responsibility at work, be that where you're, if you're placed in a particular office, that could change. There could be changes going on in your office. There could be disruptions going on in the workplace. Co-workers could unexpectedly leave at this time, or employees could unexpectedly leave. There could be switch ups within your workspace. Can also be for some of you that maybe if you've been looking for a health diagnosis with the conjunction to Uranus, maybe there is an unexpected or accelerated event. So maybe you could be waiting for surgery and they could say, actually, we're bringing you in today. Or it could be that if you're looking for a diagnosis, it surprises you, whatever comes up. Maybe you really thought it was one thing and it's another. Maybe it could be that you're deciding that you really want to shake up the way that you look after yourself, your diet, what you eat, how you exercise. Maybe you're making some significant changes there. Uranus can be quite disruptive, but it can also be quite liberating. So maybe the news makes you feel better. Maybe you feel like, oh, this is finally, getting resolved, or I'm finally going to be free of this. It can feel quite liberating and quite free. But it can also sometimes bring disruptions as well. So for you, Sagittarius, when it comes to your daily routines, there can be disruptions there. Could also be something kind of disruptive coming up with a pet if you have one. Maybe they're acting out of character, or they're acting a little bit unusual under this full moon. The ruler of this full moon, Venus, is in your 2nd house of money and finances. So you may have to spend some money on your health. You may have to spend some money on your work, your responsibilities. Maybe your changes in your workplace could benefit you financially, because your financial situation is likely changing quite a lot, Sagittarius, at the moment, with Pluto at the crisis degree of your 2nd house. That could be that there are financial changes in terms of what you earn or what you're spending money on. I'm going to get you a tarot card, Sagittarius. Oh, we have the Death card. Okay, so you're definitely making changes. I think for a lot of you, with Scorpio season being your 12th house, you're in a process of letting go. You're in a process of making changes. You may feel like there's more going out than coming in your life. But I think, Sagittarius, this is sort of a cleaning house energy before your season begins. You may find that Scorpio people are more prominent, sun, moon, or rising, but you may be more open to making significant changes in your life, Sagittarius. I noticed the Empress is at the bottom of the deck, so maybe it's because you've become a mother, or the changes are surrounding your mother, or you're just experiencing significant financial changes with Pluto being in Capricorn. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Capricorn, welcome to the full moon in Taurus for your sign. Capricorn, good news. This one's kind of fun for you. This full moon is happening in the 5th house. This is about having fun. It's about creativity. It's about joy. It's about love. It's about good times. So you might have an unexpected invitation or a last minute invitation to go to a party. If you go to a social event this weekend, it may take an unexpected turn. It could be quite lively. It could be quite entertaining. Feels like for a lot of you that you're really wanting to let loose and have a good time around the time of this full moon. And just enjoy yourself, essentially. Maybe you're wanting to feel more free. Maybe you're getting some freedom to enjoy yourself, to attend a party, to attend a gathering, something that is maybe a little out of your comfort zone. With Venus, the ruler of this full moon, being in your 1st house, I feel like if you're going to a party, you're probably looking very well. You're probably getting a lot of compliments. You're probably enjoying yourself. You're probably having a good time socially. But with Uranus, it can bring, the unexpected. For some of you with this full moon, it can be an unexpected pregnancy in the 5th house and Venus in the 1st. You might notice, if you're expecting, this might be the full moon, you notice some physical changes. But it can also be, for a lot of you, that maybe your children, there's something unexpected coming up with them. Maybe they're behaving in an unusual way, or there's something unexpected coming up with important children in your life, even if they're not your own biological children. It can be a time where you're going to an entertaining event, maybe the theatre, maybe a concert or something like that. And again, I feel like with Venus in your first house, you're really showing up in a way that you feel good, you feel positive. With Pluto being at the crisis degree of your first house, I think a lot of you are looking for a change in the way that you're living, and you're wanting to change your lifestyle, change your approach to life, how you show up to the world. But Venus gives a nice positive energy to that first house. I do think for some of you, with Pluto being at, the sign of transformation and its final stint of your first house and a full moon in the fifth, for a lot of you it could be an unexpected pregnancy. So if that's not what you want, be mindful of that. But for others of you, it could simply be that you're wanting to change your style, your aesthetic, and your approach to life in general. Capricorn. So your ruler Saturn as well is going direct at the time of this full moon, which puts more emphasis and spotlight on you and how you show up to the world. It's in your third house, so I think for a lot of you, maybe you've been reconsidering and reflecting on how you communicate, how you think, and you're wanting under this full moon to go forward with a new mindset. Maybe some of you are committing to your writing project, committing to your relationship to a sibling, maybe committing to helping a neighbour or your local community or your local neighbourhood at the time of this full moon. Maybe you're considering buying or purchasing a car as well, with Saturn going through the third, going direct. Going to get you a card. We have the King of Cups. Okay, so Capricorn water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces are showing up at the time of this full moon for you. And I think for a lot of you, you're also focusing with the full moon in the fifth, what makes you feel emotionally fulfilled and what makes you feel happy. What makes you feel creative, what makes you feel inspired. And with the star at the bottom of the deck, I think what makes you feel hopeful. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Aquarius, welcome to the full moon in Taurus, conjunct your ruler Uranus for your sign. Aquarius, this is happening in your fourth house of home and family and your living situation. There could be some disruptions in the home at the time of this full moon. Maybe the power goes out, maybe you forgot to pay an electric bill. There could be changes with the occupants in your home. Someone suddenly moves in, somebody suddenly moves out. It could be that there's shocks or changes when it comes to your family. Maybe someone in your family has news that surprises you. I think with the ruler of this full moon, Venus, in your 12th house, this may be very out of the blue for you. This might be something you didn't see coming, something that has been going on out of your vision. It could be something that's in your blind spots. Maybe you just didn't have time to think about it, or you were too busy to notice, or something of that nature. Say, for example, you were very busy and you forgot to pay your electric bill or something like that. Could also be for some of you that maybe your family are having a surprise party for you, or there's a surprise event for you with Venus being in the 12th. It could be that you receive something to your home that you didn't expect, like a present or a gift or something of that nature. But there could be something surprising happening within the home or within your family at the time of this full moon, Aquarius. It's also worth mentioning that Saturn, your traditional ruler, is going direct in Pisces, which is your second house. If you've been reflecting on your finances and where you're spending money, particularly if you're spending money on the home, if you've been reflecting on money, reflecting on your maybe wounding or your experience or your karma with money, you may feel going forward that you feel a little bit more prepared, you feel a little bit more responsible and a little bit more committed to your financial situation. Saturn going through the second house can sometimes restrict cash flow, or it can bring about commitments we have to pay for, so we have a little bit less to spend on other things. So you could have been reflecting on your financial situation, your budget, what you're spending money on, etc. And going forward with Saturn, you may have new skills or tools to make more money for yourself, or you may be better at saving money with this direct station of Saturn. Let's get you a tarot card, Aquarius. With the Ace of Swords, you're getting a lot of clarity under this full moon in Taurus. You're having an epiphany, you're having an awakening. Could be to do with a home or a living situation or a family matter at this time. There may be some truth comes out from someone in your family that maybe you didn't expect, or you learned something about your home or your lineage that you didn't expect, Aquarius. That's what I have for you. Talk to you soon. Hi Pisces, welcome to the full moon in Taurus for your sign. It is conjunct Uranus in your 3rd house. So for a lot of Pisces, this is looking like unexpected or surprising news. With the ruler of this full moon Venus being in your 11th house, you may be receiving some unexpected or surprising information from a friend. You could receive unexpected information or a surprise from a neighbor or a sibling. It could also be that you're getting a message on social media or through email or through text that maybe shocks you, maybe surprises you, maybe you didn't see coming. It could be through someone that you're connected to in a social group, or again, it could be someone on an online app or on the online space. There could be surprises in your local neighborhood or your local community, or you could be attending an event locally at the time of this full moon, and it could be quite surprising or unusual. There could be travel disruptions if you're taking a trip, but you may also find that you have an opportunity last minute to go somewhere or do something, maybe a travel trip to the next town over or a state over or something of that nature. You could plan a last minute trip at the time of this full moon, Pisces, but it does feel like you're getting unexpected information, maybe a little bit of clarity or insight through writing, through journaling, or through reading. You could have an epiphany that comes up for you that really helps liberate your mind, and I think under this full moon you're wanting to change your mindset as well, Pisces. With Venus being in the 11th house, you could be changing your mindset for a better future for yourself. You could be having some very lively, interesting conversations with friends. Your phone could be receiving a lot of messages at this time as well. And you could be getting some insights into what you want to manifest, what you want to dream for the future. Particularly as Saturn is going direct in your 1st house of self, you're probably recommitting to yourself, and maybe recommitting to yourself physically, how you look after and take care of yourself. Maybe since July you've had some health ailments or some health issues, maybe with the feet or the hands, with you being a Pisces, and you're wanting to look after yourself better and take better care of yourself physically, Pisces, or commit to something that builds character for you as well. But I do think for the majority of you, it's some unexpected news or surprise coming in under this full moon. Yeah, we have the 7 of Cups, so you have a lot of options. I feel like maybe for some of you, and the Ace of Swords at the bottom. If you've been confused, Pisces, you're going to get some important clarity under this full moon and discover what it is that you want, which could be quite important with Venus being in the 11th. Pluto is at the crisis degree of the 11th house, so getting clarity on what it is that you want for the future is likely at this time. The future may be changing quite a lot for you in front of your eyes, and so you may be deciding that you're going to make a firm, concrete decision on what it is that you do want. That's what I have for you, Pisces, and I'll talk to you soon.